Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucamus Prime here, so it's time for the next episode of my series called Movie That Didn't Need a Sequel. And today, guys, I'm going to be including probably what is, in my opinion, the third biggest example of a movie that didn't need any sequels. And this movie is for one of my favourite movies of all time. Probably my favourite movie involving sports cars and, action, in a way. And this movie, guys, is none other than 2015's Furious 7. And yeah, so this movie, directed by James Wan, is my favourite out of the Fast and Furious franchise. In my opinion, guys, I really love this movie. And it's, in my opinion, an example, probably a really major, big example I can say of a movie that didn't need any sequels. And yeah, so this movie, guys, is, of course, about the team of the main characters who are trying to live normal lives in the United States until a new villain called Deckard Shaw, a rogue special forces assassin, seeks revenge. And after his brother got put into a coma, of course, which is Owen Shaw, played by Luke Evans from Fast and Furious 6, and he puts the team in danger once again. And yeah, now, so this movie, guys, the thing about this movie is, it is also, as well, the final movie of the legendary Paul Walker. So, for those of you who don't know, in 2013, Paul Walker was tragically killed in a car crash. So yeah, rest in peace, Paul Walker. At the time of his death, he'd not completed filming his scenes for Furious 7, so production had to be on a hiatus for quite some time. Then in the next year, 2014, it was announced that production had resumed, and then it was later confirmed that in order to work around the death of Paul Walker, they decided it would be best to retire his character, Brian O'Connor. Now, guys, back when this happened in 2014, I had not seen the films yet because I never had a chance to see them. But I only heard about them from, friends who watch the franchise and also from the news and stuff like that. And when I, found out that they're going to be retiring Paul Walker's character and not killing his character off, I was thinking, wow, that is such a respectful way to work on the death of an actor with regards to what to do with a character. And I think this movie is an example as well of a movie, which other franchises need to take notes from about how to send off a character whose actor has died. Like, for example, the Disney War sequel Trashology, in my opinion, horribly sent off Princess Leia in a very horrible way, in my opinion. And also, the Disney Plus show What If, in my opinion, really badly mistreated Black Panther after Chadwick Boseman's death. For example, in the zombie episode, his leg was eaten by a zombie, which was very, very traumatizing to see. And of course, he got killed off in the Killmonger episode, so yeah, that really sucked. However, on the topic of this, however, the reason why I think this movie is the perfect ending of a franchise is because the ending shows the team are now relaxing on holiday, and they decided it'd be best if Brian can stay with his family because they think it's where he belongs. And yeah, they acknowledge that he's happily retired with his family. And then Dom decides to drive away, and because he doesn't want to disturb the happy moment. And when he's asked if he's going to say goodbye, he says, "It's never goodbye." And that's a very iconic quote, in my opinion, guys. And yeah, coupled alongside the very beautiful song called "See You Again" by Charlie Puth and Wiz Khalifa. Oh wow, it's a very beautiful song, one of the best farewell songs of all time, very emotional, and yeah. And the movie ends with Don driving away, but Brian catches up to him in his sports car, and then Brian says to him, "Hey, thought you could leave without saying goodbye." And then they have a final drive together. So yeah, they drive off down the road, and yeah, and Dom, remembers all the happy times he's had with Brian, and yeah. And then he says that, Brian will always be with him and he'll always be his brother. Is it me, guys, or did that voiceover feel like it was Vin Diesel's voiceover, not Dom's voiceover? It really felt like that, in my opinion. And then, of course, after that, they bid each other farewell and then drive off in separate directions. And yeah, oh, wow. But it ends with a beautiful tagline on the screen, which is, "For Paul." Oh, wow. When I saw the movie, guys, I was actually crying at the ending when I watched it for the first time. It was just so emotional, and yeah. And because I've grown to really like Brian as the movies progress, and he's my favourite character in the franchise, and yeah. And And plus, not only do I think it perfectly ended because they retired Brian, but also as well because I think it also gave closure to the other characters because all their enemies were defeated and yeah, they were living in peace and yeah, they were relaxed on a tropical beach and yeah, there wasn't any sequel setups either as well, no sequel baiting whatsoever, which I was very happy about because they focused primarily on retiring Brian and yeah, there was no sequel setting up and yeah. So that's why I like to pretend Furious 7 is the true end of the Fast and Furious and the perfect ending of a franchise. But, unfortunately, that was deemed not to be because this movie grossed $1.5 billion worldwide and it became a critical and box office success with praise being aimed at the film's action sequences and its emotional tribute to Paul Walker, which, yeah, I found very emotional myself. And because of the box office, you know, being a success, it spawned sequels. And yeah, the first one we got was a movie called The Fate of the Furious, released in April 2017. And yeah, compared to Furious 7, this movie was a massive disappointment. And yeah, I personally did not like this movie, guys. In my opinion, it had no reason to exist. And yeah, because like what I hate about the movie, as I touched upon in my ranking of the franchise, guys, is when I did it. And you know, on New Year's Day, is I hated how we got a new villain called Cypher, played by Charlize Theron, who makes Dom turn against his own you know, friends and family. And yeah, I really hated that because there's no way the Dom I know would do that ever. He would not turn against his own family, as far as I'm concerned. And I think, you know, that was a very bad direction the franchise went in. And then it made Furious 7's ending even more pointless as well, by killing off Elena, which I was very angry about. Like, it made the ending even more pointless because at the end of Furious 7, the characters were finally at peace, and yeah, it just had to be ruined by this movie, which I was very angry about. Like, how could we do that? So I was very disappointed with this movie and the direction it took, and yeah, I just thought it was a big letdown compared to Furious 7 and very unnecessary. However, though, it still, you know, did well at the box office, despite the mixed reception. And this, of course, spawned a next movie. In the main franchise, that is, because we of course, got a spin-off called Fast and Furious Hobbs and Shaw first. And in my opinion, that's probably only the best out of what came after Furious 7. But yeah, still unnecessary in my opinion, but still the best out of what came after Furious 7. Then 2 years after this movie, we then, of course, got... So 2 years after Hobbs and Shaw, we got the 9th installment of the main franchise, which is F9, The Fast Saga, and I was hoping this movie could be better than Fate of the Furious, guys, but I was unfortunately horribly wrong, because, as I said in my ranking video, I was very unsatisfied by this movie. Again, and in my opinion, it was worse than Fate of the Furious, and even more disappointing. So the good qualities, you know, I already touched upon, like, you know, it still does a good job from the cast, in my opinion, and yeah, and visuals are also decent, in my opinion. I guess the stunts are fine too, but yeah. In my opinion, this movie went on many ridiculous directions, which made it didn't even feel like Fast and Furious anymore. Like, for example, I think probably the dumbest direction the franchise went in with this movie was how they did cars in space. Like, when I saw Tej and Roman in a car in space, I couldn't take the movie seriously. Like, I'm thinking, what the hell is this? Like, I couldn't believe it. I was very angry about that because it's just a dumb direction. And yeah, you're basically turning it into a sci-fi franchise. And yeah, that's not Fast and Furious. No. Fast and Furious is supposed to be like an action sports car franchise. And yeah. And then, of course, as well, we also introduced a character who is the long-lost brother of Dom and Mia, called Jacob, played by John Cena. And in my opinion, his existence makes absolutely no sense. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Because he was never mentioned at all in the previous movies at all. And yeah, like, it just makes no sense that he's here, really. And yeah, makes absolutely no sense at all. Like, I couldn't believe it. Really, how they brought in a random character whose existence makes absolutely no sense. It was just stupid. Because I never mentioned him before in the previous movies, so like, how does he even exist? And speaking of existence of characters making no sense, guys, they brought back a character who actually died before, which was Han, guys. And yeah, because it's revealed that he faked his death in Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, and yeah. And in my opinion, the way he faked his death with Mr. Nobody's help made absolutely no sense at all, because there's no way Han would have got out of the car before the car blew up in Tokyo Drift. No way. it made absolutely no sense whatsoever how he came back from the dead like that, really. Like, really, you bring back a character who died and the team went to his funeral in Furious 7? Come on. And as much as I love Han, guys, he's my second favourite character in the franchise after Brian. In my opinion, in my Fast and Furious canon, he is truly dead. So, yeah, because the way we brought back in this movie made absolutely no sense. And the ending also really annoyed me because the ending showed a barbecue at Dom's house and then Brian arrives in his car, and yeah. And that really annoyed me because I'm thinking, no, Brian is retired. Leave him alone. Don't bring him back into a franchise. Let him be retired in peace. So that made this ending even more pointless now. And yeah. So on to the topic of why I think we should have ended with Furious 7, you know, like, I've always pictured this franchise as being all about Brian, because, you know, he's my favourite character, and I just love his development in the films, because in the first movie he starts out as being an undercover cop, and then as the movies progresses, the first movie, he soon becomes close friends with Dom and his team, and yeah. Then when we reunite in Fast and Furious 2009, he eventually just joined the team, and yeah. But still, though, and like I said, guys, in my opinion, you know, the story truly ended with Furious 7, and yeah. And in order to further cement my decision to stop watching the franchise, I bought this, guys, which is a Blu-ray collection of Fast and Furious, but it's only the first 7 movies, because I refuse to buy Fate of Furious and F9, and I probably won't buy Hobbs and Shaw either, because, you know, like I said, it's unnecessary despite being the best out of what came after Furious 7, so yeah. So I bought this, guys, and yeah, because as far as I'm concerned, Fast and Furious is only the first 7 movies. Now, you're probably wondering, you know, but Lucas, didn't you say on your ranking that you think Tokyo Drift and Fast and Furious are the worst of a franchise? Well, to be honest, I will say yes, I still think they're the worst to this day. But, guys, unlike Fate of Furious and F9, Tokyo Drift and Fast and Furious have a reason to exist, because the ending of the first movie sets up Fast and Furious by having Brian leaving, that was setting up, you know, Fast and Furious. And Tokyo Drift, when you look at Fast and Furious 6's ending, it shows Han, you know, leaving, and yeah, and that was setting up Tokyo Drift as well. I think I'd probably like Tokyo Drift more if they released it after Fast and Furious 6, because, you know, they of course released it in the wrong order, because it takes place after Fast and Furious 6, you know, and yeah. And the fact that they released it, you know, before 2009, Fast 5 and Fast and Furious 6, it makes Han's fate so predictable, because you know he's going to die, so yeah. I think I'd probably liked it more if they released it after Fast and Furious 6 as like a spin-off about Han, but yeah. Nevertheless, though, in my opinion, Fast and Furious truly ends with a 7th movie, and yeah. And for one thing, guys, the poster even, you know, implies it can be the end of a franchise, because one of the taglines is, one last ride. So yeah, even the poster knows that the franchise should probably end with Furious 7, and yeah, the poster is definitely right there. And guys, because F9 was the nail in the coffin as to, you know, whether I should keep, you know, watching the franchise or not, yeah, I made a decision to not watch the planned sequels to F9. I am not watching the 10th or 11th movie at all, yeah. And I don't care if they're ending the franchise with the 11th movie, because I am not going to be wasting my time on it. Because in my opinion, the sequels have made Fast and Furious' emotional and beautiful ending, which gave great closure to the franchise, even more pointless, and I hated that, so yeah. And I think the direction that they're taking is absolutely ridiculous, like the whole cars in space thing. I mean, put it this way, guys, I wouldn't be surprised if F10 are fighting aliens. So, yeah. Because of the horrendous direction they've been taking with the franchise, really. And, yeah. But, nevertheless, though, you know, I will still, you know, watch the first 7 movies. They're, like, you know, they hold a special place in my heart, because they, in my opinion, are the true Fast and Furious franchise, and, yeah. And plus, guys, you know, when it comes to the idea of stopping, you know, watching a franchise, the thing is, I'm not the only one who stopped, because many of my friends have stopped watching a franchise because they didn't like the sequels either. And plus, as I've noticed in many comments on Fast and Furious 7's clips, I've noticed that many people have actually, you know, stopped watching after Furious 7. They've not watched anything after Furious 7, and I can't say I blame them, because, you know, that, in my opinion, is the right thing to do, because Furious 7, in my opinion, is where the franchise truly ended, so yeah. I like to keep it that way, really, so yeah. I'm not watching anything that comes after F9, no way at all. I might probably watch Hobbs and Shaw, but, you know, I'm not sure if I will or not, maybe, because, you know, like I said, I think it's still unnecessary, because Fast and Furious, in my opinion, truly ended with a 7th movie, but yeah. So guys, this is me doing my third episode of my movie Didn't Need a Sequel series, and today I was talking about, you know, talking about Furious 7, and yeah. So you know, drill guys, be sure to give this video a like. Also be sure to on the comments what you guys think of the Fast and Furious franchise, if you think it ended with Furious 7 or not in your opinion. Please let me know in the comments, and also be sure to join Team Fan by pressing subscribe for most in the future. If you'd like to be a member, you can press join and use PSRs, or you can go in the description, and I'll see you all later.